Hey guys. So I've had a lot of people inquire about how to sell on eBay based off of what they're seeing our results are. And so I'm going to just do a small series of videos that just kind of explain what we've did in the beginning and then kind of what we've learned as we go on. And so I would like to show you some of that. I'm going to flip my camera and I will talk you through kind of how we started. This is our laundry room, and we have shelves in our laundry room. So our shelves did not look like this originally. This is all of our breakables in here because this room gets the least amount of traffic in our house. So what we started out as, we used those shelves and we had books. So when we started because my brother had books that he had purchased and he was wanting to sell them for profit. And he asked me if I would go in halves with him. So I would do the work, he paid the money for them, and then I would list them on eBay. And had he not done that, we would have never gotten started with this. I'm really grateful that he did that, even though at the time I was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to add this to our list of things we already do? But it has turned out to be a very great thing for our family. So what we did is I just transformed my laundry shelves into bookshelves. And so at the time, like we homeschool, so I had a lot of books in our schoolroom and all of my bookshelves were not available for any extra books. So I just cleared off my laundry room shelves, and this is what we started with. So initially, we only had these first one, two, I don't even think I made it down to this third one. I think I just had two shelves, and then I was working through the books. And I sold a lot of books that way. So then we transitioned because we had so much we had to do. And I'll show you. We're going to go down my hallway. We actually changed our schoolroom, which originally was like our kids' playroom and our schoolroom. Changed that. I'll show you. These are recent additions, these big shelves. What we originally had were these shelves. And we started I took all my homeschool books off of these shelves. And we used these shelves to store all of our stock for our books. At the time, all we were using. So then we started running out of room. So we had to build another set of shelves, which are these behind me. And they match the ones for the house. The reason we went ahead and invested extra money into these is because we did not want to have something permanently attached to our walls that wasn't going to add for resale value for our house. We didn't want to just kind of throw something up. These shelves right here, we didn't mind throwing these up because it wasn't going to matter. So then I will go down here. One thing that we have learned as we have started selling is that it is super important to be organized. And I know this looks like chaos, but we know where almost every single item is. We have on our shelves, for these shelves and our laundry room shelves, we have about 4,000 items listed in our store. And then we also have probably another couple of thousand items that are not listed. And so these shelves behind me have not been listed. And they're more chaotic than the others. And so what we started out doing is we have the magazines. They're behind me. I love books. And so I've basically organized it like a library, in categories similar to what you would find in a library. I'm not doing the Dewey Decimal System, but I know if I touch it and I put it up, then I pretty much know where it's at. So this is our clothing. This is extra storage up top. And you can see Will has lots of puzzles and games that we do. But this is how we do our clothing. So in our clothing items, I bought poly bags, these clear ones. You don't have to buy these. I bought the ones that have a warning on them just so that we don't ever have any kind of legal issue with someone. And so I have it to where I can see what's in there. And then I have it divided out by size in men and women's clothing. I don't have as much clothes listed as we do books. So all of these are listed, you know, and like if I'm not sure, if I can't see the label, then I might write it on here or put some blue tape on there to tell me what's in the bag just in case. So, and if I have something that I have multiple items of, then I might say this one is, you know, from a particular pick. So let me go into the next room. So in our living room, I do a lot of my paperwork in here. So I'm going to flip this and show you what we started out with and then what we're currently transitioning to. One thing I would encourage you is treat this like a business from day one. Even if in your mind you're like, oh, I'm not going to have a business, I'm just going to throw a couple items on eBay. If you go ahead and treat it like it's a business, you will not have deep regrets like we did, because this was just supposed to be a temporary thing for us, and then it's become so much more. And so if you start out like it's a business from day one, you will have a system that can grow with you. One thing I would suggest, if you're going to sell a lot of clothes, or maybe a lot of vintage items or whatever, like if it's something that's not books that are going to go on a shelf that you can kind of organize by category, then you need to organize by bin or box, and that will help you stay organized. So if you keep your items that you have listed and put that in a box, and you can label each item. You can put it in like some people use Ziploc bags, some people use those clear poly bags like what I have. And then they put a number and a letter on those items. And then on the box, they might have a box where they label the box A or box A1. Or you can, you know, do that system all the way up. There's people that do like double letters. You want to make it to where it's something that can grow with your business. And you don't need to lie to yourself and say that it's not a business. You should start off thinking, you know, like you need to create a system from the front end. So the other thing that I would encourage you is, as you're treating it like a business, start with things in your home. Don't go out and buy a bunch of stuff. Start with items in your home as you're learning, because then that way your cost of goods is not very much. And as you're learning, then you will be able to add things to your collection. But it helps if you start with things you already own. And if you're wanting to build, then you really want to list 5 to 10 items a day. And the way that you can do that, because not everybody has time to list that many items in a day, but you might have 2 or 3 days that you can take a lot of pictures, you can add things onto eBay. And when you do that, you want to be able to put things in your drafts on your eBay account, which means you can save it. You can have everything ready to go, and then all you have to do is list that item. And so if you have days that you don't have time to list 5 to 10 items, you can take items from your drafts and you can move those and add it to your store. So one thing that we figured out pretty quick is you want to use the free store that eBay gives you. You want to do that until you start adding enough stuff every month that you hit your 200 listings, because eBay gives you a free store with 200 listings at the beginning. And so you want to do that free store first. There's no reason to pay for a store initially. And then as your business grows, then you can move up into stores and however much you need to do. So currently, I think we are on the $25 a month store. And so that's very helpful for us. You also get a coupon from eBay once you move up to that store. But at the beginning, that's not something you need to worry about. So also, and in your quest to do things as a business, I would encourage you to not just do pen and paper, because as your business grows, you will rapidly run out of time. And let me show you what I mean by that. I will show you some of what we initially started with. So when Nathan brought me the initial set of books, I'm having to look at my notebook. I did not even list anything to say that we had it listed because I had no idea what it was going to be like. So initially, I had my notebook and it says Nate's Books. And I literally just wrote down the title as it sold. I wrote down the order earnings and the shipping cost and the profit. And then I would write down, since I'm splitting with Nate, I wrote down what we did. So, I mean, you can see we had very low numbers. I paid, we both made $25. We made $17. I mean, it was very low profits initially. Then as we started adding things ourselves, I went to, where did I go? The first place I went was Rolling Hills. So all this is from Rolling Hills, and it's stuff that we bought or somebody gave us or whatever. Like this is also stuff from my house, like things that I got from my house. And so I sold it, and then I would keep up with the profit margins and when it sold. So fast forward to today, and what I would have started with had I known any better, I would have started with a reseller sheet that someone has already set up, and they set it up on Google Sheets. So the one we have switched to, and it's going to take me a good bit of time to input my notebook into this, but we use Ginger Marvin's Reseller Spreadsheet 2.0. I will post that in the links so that you can get that for yourself and start off immediately using that. They also give 2 YouTube tutorials on how to use their reselling sheet, and it's super helpful. It's wonderful. So let me show you. Let me flip my screen. Okay, so what it looks like is this, where we have our, so if you had bin locations, if I had like, A1 or whatever, it would be in that section right here where it says bin locations. Then I put my item description. This is some stuff from my brother Seth that came out of his house for free. And so we have those listed. So what this does is I can do the cost of goods, which was free. We have our category that you can set up, then where it comes from. Then I have it split up into how we have things split up, like how I'm splitting it between my family members. And then how many days we've had it listed. Let's see, let me scooch this. Scoot over. Let me move the screen. Okay, here we go. So then I have so we got a 1940s lantern out of Seth's house. We sold it for $100.33 on eBay. You can put your own platforms that you're going to sell on. Those are our fees, our shipping cost, and then our net profit, and then our adjusted net profit. And then if it was to a friend or whatever, you can put that. So that is super helpful. Not only that, it will give us our dashboard. Let me see if I can pull that up easily. No. At a glance. Okay, so it'll show me my monthly sales. Of course, this is not even an accurate picture because it's just a couple of items that we have in there. But it'll show what platforms we sold it on. It gives us a lot of tools. I can pull up different totals and listings, and it'll give me all these different data that as we go through, I can see, how our inventory is working, and so it's really very helpful. We've really enjoyed it. So anyway, so that's one part. The other thing is, when you are beginning to find items, you want to find items, like I said, start with your house. If you want to let people know, hey, we're going to start selling stuff on eBay to make money. If you have stuff you want to donate to the cause, some of your friends might give you stuff, or your family might give you stuff to help you. And then when you start looking things up to know how do I know how to price this? What do I need to use to find out the prices? My favorite tool to use is Google Lens. So if you go on Google and you see on their toolbar, there's a camera. You can click that camera and you can upload your picture, or you can take a picture of an item and it will search for either that exact item, if it can pull it up with their AI, or it will give you something really close. So the thing that you want to do is look and see about what things are selling for. So if I'm selling a book and it sells on Etsy for $40, and then it's showing me on eBay it only sells for $20, then sometimes I might go and take like an average of that and let me put it on Etsy for $30 and see if I can sell my book, for cheaper. Or I might go and say, okay, well, if they're asking $40, then I might ask $40 also. But the best thing to do is to go on eBay, type in exactly what it is that you're selling, and you can click their camera thing, or you can type in the search bar. And then you want to change on eBay, you want to change where it says the sold comps. So if I'm looking for something on eBay, I want to pull it up and look for exactly that item. So for instance, let me flip green. So I'm on eBay right here. So just say I want, let's say a Bible. Well, let me look this book. Till we all have faces. Book. Okay, so I'm going to enter that. And it pulls up, all these different ones, brand new. There's two results for that. And so, as I'm looking, it's all different prices. So a first edition hardcover, they had it for $149.99. This is making me want to sell my book. I'll have to read it first and then I'll sell it. So the other thing that you want to do is, so where it says sort, it says best match. So I want it to sort. Let's see. Let me find my search results. Find condition, any condition. I can't find it on my screen here. I'm used to doing it on my phone. Let's see. Let me look down here. Okay, right here. When I scroll down, it'll say show only. I want to see the sold items. And what that's going to do is it's going to pull up a reality check. So that new book sold for $526, but this hardcover first edition sold for $165. So that tells me if I find that book, the first edition hardcover, my chances of selling it are pretty good. So this 1980 one sold for $20. And then that was a paperback. So you can see the sold prices vary, completely depending on so that's one thing you want to do is you always want to check sold comps. You do not want to just go off of what somebody's asking, because that does not mean that that's what you're going to get. So the other thing that you want to do when you're starting out, you want to get a good measuring source. So whether that's a measuring tape, Will likes to use a carpenter's square, because he likes to lay that down on our board as he's taking pictures, and he can just lay his item on there and it shows the length and the width immediately. I actually prefer using a sewing measuring tape. And you also want to get a scale. That's going to be crucial, because when you are figuring out shipping, you do not want to make a mistake on that, because that will mean you will end up paying for that. Everything that we do, we list it with the person who is purchasing it paying shipping. And the reason we do that is that shipping prices can vary drastically. If you are shipping from Louisiana to, say, Alaska, totally different shipping price than if I was shipping from Louisiana to Texas. So it's much better for us business-wise to have the purchaser pay their shipping. And so what we do is we do a guesstimate because we don't have each item boxed up, ready to go. We don't have an exact weight. So what we'll do is we will have our scales. So what we started out with is with a kitchen scale that I had. Let me flip. Started out with this one. And it was simple enough, you know, you just hit your button on. If I was going to do this, I would say, okay, that's 10.7 ounces. So then you go up to the next ounce. And so then I'd say, okay, well, that's 11 ounces. But if I ship it at 11 ounces, I'm going to be in trouble because I'm not thinking this is going to take a lot. I'm going to put paper in here. I'm going to wrap this with bubble wrap. I'm going to put cardboard around this handle. I'm going to tape it. I'm going to put it in one of these to protect the finish so that it doesn't scrape while it's in the box. I do a lot of extra as far as shipping goes. So what you don't want to do is say, oh, that's only 11 ounces. And then you're up a creek. And then I have to take into consideration, I'm going to have to measure this. So what I use is my handy dandy measuring tape. And so what I'm going to do is to measure. So this cup is at 3.5 inches. I cannot ship that out at 3.5 inches. And there's not going to be a box unless I make one. There's not going to be a box that will fit that. And then it's going to be, with the handle, it's going to be 5 inches. And so, you know, and then of course I have this other direction too that will be 3 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add extra inches to my measurement to make sure it's going to cover being wrapped in bubble wrap. It's going to cover that handle. There's some things like one like this, one of these Linux cups. This I might wrap and then turn around and put it in another box because these are significantly more expensive than that other coffee mug. And in case you're wondering why I have so many coffee mugs, we actually sell these for really decent money. And usually can get them for 35 cents or 50 cents. So the other thing is, as you grow your business, if you're purchasing a scale, like I just used what I had because it's what I was using when I was making cinnamon rolls. But as we have moved in our business, we got a different scale. So we got a scale that looks like this. And so this scale is going to have this that moves. And that is super important because when you have a giant box that weighs 70 pounds, you need to be able to see that display and you need to be able to have a scale that can carry a lot of weight. So that little bitty scale will give me good measurements for 130 pounds, up to 130 pounds. So that's the one that Will typically uses because he does the most listing. When I list, I'm usually listing clothes or small items. So the other thing that you're going to want to do, that's both of those things, measuring, something to measure with, something to weigh with, those are super important. You are going to want to eventually save up, maybe from your sales, save up to get a, so this is a Munbin printer, and it uses these 4x6 stickers to print the labels. That is super important. That's probably one of the most important things we have in our business. The thing that you can use before you have that, when we didn't have the money for that initially. That was not something that I was going to purchase. I actually ended up purchasing this for my cinnamon roll business so that I could make stickers for my cinnamon roll business. It's a thermal printer. So that means I'm not having to buy ink. It prints off of heat activated labels. So it's a great thing. I can come up with all kinds of different things to, like we do our thank you stickers on there that look like this. So we have our thank you stickers. Like I said, I did my cinnamon roll business stickers with that. It's just a great label maker. But if you don't have that, you don't have the money for that, which I'll put what we have in the comments, then you can just use your regular printer at home and just print off a paper copy and tape it to your boxes. If you don't have a regular printer, it's okay. If you're selling on eBay, you take your label, you take your phone and you show them this scan code and they will scan it and do a label for you there. Now that's going to be a pain in the behind if you're doing more than 3 or 4 items, because they don't have time to do lots of things in the line. So you want to, that's a temporary fix while you're getting started. And then as you start making money, then you can start purchasing things to help your business. The other thing I would say is packing materials. I don't know if you can see, but I have lots of packing materials here. I am blessed because I have a brother who works for a business that gets tons of boxes in for their business. And so he has been saving, I have hundreds, if not thousands of boxes of all different sizes. And really, I can just tell him which size that I need the most, and he brings it to me. So that is taking a massive load of cost off from us. We've initially been buying it from Sam's. We've been buying bubble wrap from Sam's. Not expensive. It's like $14 or $15. I think Walmart also has it. And then we also have started shifting and going and ordering from Bubble Boy, because we are now doing things at such a big scale. So this is also like, I ordered these packing peanuts from Uline. But initially this is what we started out with. So this laundry basket, I still use this laundry basket, and it has random junk and wrapping paper, and people give me their newspaper, and people give me their leftover bubble wrap. And like I said, I have all these boxes from my brother, but I also have random boxes from all of our family. Family is fantastic. They save boxes for me all the time. So I've not had to purchase a box ever. And I think most people could probably have that happen as well, because your family or your friends will save their Amazon boxes for you. And so I would just encourage you, look to see how you can do it for free, because the whole point of this is for you to make money and for you to get out of debt, or for you to pay for things that you really need to pay for. So that's all I'm going to do now. I know this is long, but when you're starting, you're trying to get all the information you can. And I would say those are the most important things, especially listing 5 to 10 items a day. That eBay starts treating you like you're a business, and they show your stuff more. We've seen when we have not been listing a lot that our sales drop off noticeably. So if you are diligent to post and to list and start with your stuff, you will see just a benefit to that. So if you have questions, feel free to ask me. We love to help people get started. We love to encourage you on your way. We'll help you any way we can, and help you figure out what's the best way to do it in a way that's cost effective for you. So anyway, hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.